Hi, Sam.
Hi, Soph. How are you?
Look at us. We're doing a Twitch show.
Oh my gosh, this is really happening. There's the camera, there's people, or just us, whichever. Who cares? Oh my gosh.
Entertain each other. Yeah. Our
So,
first
welcome to
stream.
our show. We are meant to be couples in pop culture history with a main focus in millennial pop culture.
So we're gonna take this hour every 2 weeks, and we are going to talk shit or praise about everyone's favorite and least favorite couples in pop culture. For those of you who don't know us, I am Sophie. This is the lovely Sam, and we are going to be your
Hi.
hosts for the show. Should I start?
Yeah, Soph, go right
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, my name is Sophie. I am crazy ex-girlfriend vibes. I'm a tattooer here in New York, and I grew up watching The Hills at a very young age, and I think that explains a lot of why I am the way I am and why my interests are what they are. Um, I think my favorite pop culture couple of all time. Sorry, my cat decided to hop in. Favorite pop culture couple of all time. I think it's a toss up because I love Jen and Brad, but I also really love, like, I have this deep love to hate for Spidey, Spencer and
Oh,
Heidi.
Spencer and Heidi.
I'm like deeply, deeply in
Oh,
love with their little
they are like the most
situation.
toxic thing.
They're still together. Katie Couric hangs out at their house and they just like look at hummingbirds together, and I think that's really important and I love them.
Side note, have you seen his he loves like stones. He's like a
Cat Daddy Crystals. He has his
Daddy
own crystal
crystals. Like
line.
that's a whole
Yes.
new name for him.
Love him.
Wild.
So tell us about yourself, Sam.
My name is Sam. I am female fuckboy. I grew up in New York. I've been living in New York City for 10 years. And when I am not live streaming from a pink bedroom, I do digital activation for a company for a big media agency in the city. I won't say who my client is because you'll probably just like fall asleep because it's so boring. Other than that, I also have a little side business called Closet Cut where I organize people's closets. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of balls in the air, literally. But I would have to say, oof, this is a good one. I feel like I was super obsessed. And like, I don't really know if you can count like all of Paris Hilton's relationships in the early 2000s as like couples, but I feel like I consistently was just so awestruck that she was actually engaged to someone with her name, like Paris and Paris.
Yes.
And I can't remember if he got her the pink diamond or the yellow diamond, but like that whole whirlwind romance with her in that Greek shipping air like really sent me flying, which is like so funny because my first boyfriend ended up being Greek.
Before we get into our show, two things I want to talk about quickly. A, she's engaged. Congratulations to Paris Hilton
Oh my gosh, yes, she got engaged
last week for
birthday.
her birthday, and it kind of blows my mind that Paris Hilton is 40 now.
So that makes me feel old, I agree. And shout out to Paris Hilton for getting engaged more times than I've been asked out on a first date.
That too.
Definitely feel that. Yeah, the lady turned 40. She's doing all this amazing work for Break Code Silence, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Break Code Silence.
School, the Provost Canyon school she went to, where there was just like a lot of different like crazy abuse for rehab kids.
Yeah, all of like the behavior rehab schools that are all super abusive.
Cringy to think about now.
But she's really changed her narrative.
There?
What?
Did you guys have anyone in your school, like when you were in high school, that got sent to like one of those rehab schools?
Not that we knew of.
Okay.
Did you?
3.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I went to a public high school too. Like,
I went to a public high school, but Westchester is just filled with like really fun people, like real crazies.
I guess Denver, Colorado really has nothing going on.
I was like, it would be the quickest trip. They wouldn't even have to take the flight. You know, they just drive them up.
Drive from Utah. Hammy says hi. Hi, Hammy.
Hi, Hammy.
But yeah, should we get into it?
Yeah.
So our inaugural couple today, we're going to be talking about hyperfixating on the iconic couple that is Drew Barrymore and Tom Green.
And for those of you who don't know who Tom Green is, that's totally fine. We're going to give you a little bit of a lay of the land because it seems like everyone has amnesia. But I promise, this person was very prominent in the early 2000s. Like, he mattered at some point.
Yeah, I feel like I know Tom Green from being married to Drew Barrymore from the SNL thing, and literally everything I know of Tom Green was post Drew Barrymore because of Drew Barrymore.
So my first memory of Tom Green was on MTV when I was like, I want to say like elementary school, and like he was running around naked in a grocery store with like literally just like a hospital gown on, and I was like, oh my god, what is this? And it was before Jackass.
Tom Green.
He is the grandfather of Jackass, I would like to think, because before them, it was him. Oh, he also had a special on MTV about his ball cancer. He like took MTV for like an in-depth special of like him getting like operated on.
I remember when we were doing our like research for this episode, and I looked into that, and that blew my goddamn mind. Tom Green.
Super invasive. So like the Kardashians like brought us like what it is to get divorced in the public eye. Tom Green brought us in to see what it's like to have ball cancer in the public eye.
Look, it's important work.
Yeah, bring down that
awareness. Isn't that what Movember is for? But Tom Green took it further.
Yeah, he was the crazy one. Talk about raising awareness, literally.
But yeah, Tom and Green, they were together it was short.
It was a short one.
It was 2 years total.
Tops 2 years. Agreed. So, in case you guys didn't know, they met on the iconic reboot of Charlie's Angels.
They actually met because Drew was working on the project, and I guess she was a big super fan of Tom Green and was courting him.
I don't get why.
Movie. Right. So I think when she first asked him, he originally said no. Like, he turned down the role a couple times.
Like, who says no to Drew Barrymore? Like, just generally.
She was like Miss Teen Queen, like the nerve of turning down Drew Barrymore. That's
like
a whole other conversation.
I don't know. This dude had some serious BDE to say no to her. First of all.
Facts. But that is how they met, is she kept courting him, got him involved in the movie, and that was around 1999 that they were making that. And by the year 2000, they were engaged.
And can I just say, like, the weirdest, most fucked up public engagement, like, so, like, you know how, like, people cringe when people get married or, like, they get engaged at, like, a sporting event, like, on the Jumbotron, will you marry me in front of all those people? Tom Green took it a step further and actually proposed to Drew on SNL.
But it was, like, the most dramatic, because like we watched this again when we were
doing our research because we're investigative journalists.
Because I mean, there was the whole thing of like people didn't know if it was real or if it was a bit. They're like, is this just like a sketch that's gone horribly, horribly wrong, or is this man actually proposing to Drew Barrymore during the good nights from SNL? It wasn't like the typical SNL good nights where they have like all the cast and everyone up on stage and saying thank you. It was just him alone on the stage and like just screaming. He was having like a meltdown for comedy, but it was the most uncomfortable to watch.
His comedy style is definitely the type to be like outrageous. So I feel like what we find is humorous now is comedy. For him, I feel like it was to be like outlandish and crazy and outspoken and nuts.
But it was not received well at the time. No. People did not know what to think. They didn't know if it was real. And he said recently, like since being on her show, her talk show, that
recently they had their first reunion in 15 years on the Drew Barrymore show. What the fuck?
And in that, like, he said that the one thing he regrets about their relationship was the SNL bit. He thought it was so poorly received and just embarrassing for both of them. And he's very publicly said, like, yeah, if there was one thing I wish I didn't do, it was that.
To be fair, though, like, there's nothing worse than, like, I equate that proposal to like a really shitty haircut you get in middle school and you think you just like you're rocking it. Like you're like, oh my God, this is everything. Like I'm in the hairdresser. I'm like, oh, the confidence. I'm here for it. And then like you look at those photos 10 years later and you're like,
oh no.
Yikes, I had a lot of balls.
Like, yeah. But yeah, that is the story of their engagement. It was, I think, November of 2000.
When did Charlie's Angels come out? Did it come out in 2001 or was it in production by that point?
It was in production because I think they were filming in 99.
Okay, fair.
So it was definitely not out, or maybe it was coming out by the time they were engaged. I'm going to look this up right now.
And now we have to figure it out. I thought we had done all our
I thought we did too, but very serious journalists, as Sam just said.
Very serious journalists.
Okay, so it came out in October of 2000, so that must have been what they were promoting on SNL.
Well, technically it was a December episode of 2000, so it was probably right after. So I'm sure he had some type of special on MTV at that point. But like Drew wasn't even on it as the main guest host. It was him. And I'm also so perplexed by that. Like, oh.
Valid. Tom Green or Drew Barrymore? Yeah, let's pick Tom Green as our host. That's fine. We don't have to talk about that because it's upsetting. They were married the next year in July of 2001.
Quieter than their engagement, I do want to point out.
Much quieter.
He was such a freak. They ended up getting a very quiet thing, which is surprising because
he was cute. I like to think it was romantic and lovely and probably a party I would have really loved to be at.
Oh my God, I would love.
Can you imagine how much fucking fun their wedding must have been?
I want to say that there is a bouncy castle.
Definitely. I mean, it goes without saying, right?
I feel like Drew's really fun and like Tom Green seems weird enough. And I feel like a bouncy castle during the reception or like the cocktail hour even.
And you know, like Gwyneth Paltrow is definitely there because she and Drew.
Oh my God, at some point, yes.
And I mean, I love 2020 drunk Gwyneth Paltrow. Like, cannot imagine her in 2001 pre-Goop when she was still fun.
Very true. Now she's like a business lady.
White wine business lady. We love to see it.
White wine business lady. That's a good one.
So
basically they were only married for like
less than a year.
5 months.
Yeah. It was what, December of 2000?
They got married in July of 2000. Quiet wedding. And then married July 7th, 2001.
And then divorced that year, right?
Yeah. No, at the end of the next year. So they got married July 2001, and this couple was kaput by October 15th, 2002. So actually, the divorce was made official in 2002.
But I think Tom Green was the one to file.
I think so, yeah.
And I think that was the end of 2001. He filed for divorce, I think, in December of 2001, citing like irreconcilable differences, which who the fuck knows what that means?
It means somebody is just like not
Either one of them's a drug addict or one of them's fucking someone else. In Hollywood, that is irreconcilable differences.
The irreconcilable differences of erectile dysfunction? Potentially. Who knows? But also, I know we're skipping around a little bit, but let's also just like bring up their first date. So it was an episode on the Tom Green show in which Drew Barrymore came on his show and they set lobsters free.
I forgot about that. Literally, which is like so romantic and weird and makes so much sense for them.
It makes sense for her, but I didn't know he was a humanitarian like that.
I mean, a humanitarian stuff aside, I feel like it's the on-brand kind of like, let's do weird shit and put it on TV.
Yeah, and I feel like it's definitely at that time. That's I feel like Drew is doing more outlandish things. Like she'd already gone through her crazy phase in the 90s and she was like kind of coming into her own. And I feel like even the character she portrayed in Charlie's Angels, like her character is like badass, but also like very like, you know, gender neutral for the time.
Yeah, I feel like that was like her growing up. Sorry, my roommate just got home. That was like her growing up sort of like role. 2 seconds ago. Where she like wasn't like crazy like teenage Drew anymore. Because she was definitely like wild for more than a minute.
Oh my god, yeah.
But I feel like
she was in rehab when she was a teenager.
Right. I feel like the Tom Green relationship though was like the first like adult kind of, maybe not adult, but like
okay.
I feel like that's when she started to settle down.
When I think of an adult thing that I do, it's like making a doctor's appointment, maybe not marrying Tom Green, but like, okay, cool.
Valid. I did schedule a haircut for myself the other day and like, I think that's the new standard of like the mark of maturity. But so, yeah.
Weird first date, very PETA of them for sure. Mm-hmm. Also, when we're looking at it too, when they got divorced, going back to our main story, when they got divorced, Drew was 26 and Tom Green was 30.
I forgot wasn't like a huge age difference.
No, it was actually pretty normal from Hollywood standards.
But it just seems like she was so young. You know?
It seems like she's so young, but at the same time, like I feel like with Drew Barrymore, because we've seen her from such a young age, like even in E.T. when she was like Le Bébé, like, you know, it feels weird. Like she feels much older to me. Like, and that's so funny you say that because, like, to me, I feel like I thought she'd be 40. Like, I feel like I've seen her my whole life. And like,
I also just feel like no matter what the age gap is, when you have two people and one of their age starts with 20 and one of them starts with 30, I feel like the gap just seems bigger than it is.
Totally. Like, you don't hear people throwing shade on other people with the gap of like a 3 and a 4.
Right. But like 20 and 30 just sounds.
It has like such a
scandalous
nail on chalkboard feel.
Totally.
Very much. After February 2001, also going to bring this up. I don't know if this was a part of the reason why they got divorced, but their home in LA burned down in a fire in February of 2001.
And wasn't it the cat that like saved the day?
I think it was the cat.
I think Flossie the cat, I think, is the one that like woke them up.
Shout out to cats for always being the most compatible of a pet to have. I don't have any animals. I only have plants in my house, but love a cat.
I cannot guarantee that my cat would save my life in a fire.
Well,
not all cats can be a superhero like Flossie.
Well, congrats to Flossie for saving them, but I wonder if that fire had anything to do with it.
That's like a valid question.
Because it was the start of the year, and by the end of the year, Tom Green was like, I'm out, bitch.
I'm out. What else were they doing? I mean, I don't think either of them had stuff come out for a while. I don't think there was stuff happening.
I feel like when I look, oh my God, there was that whole thing when he told Jay Leno that Drew Barrymore was pregnant.
The pregnancy fake out that was so poorly received.
So the fire happened after.
Okay.
But like spring of 2000, to gear up how wild Tom Green behavior is, he not only like made a joke, but like fully insinuated on Jay Leno that basically Drew Barrymore was pregnant, and then like walked back on the comment later in the show.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like back in 2000, like that's all you have. It's not like you have Instagram. It's not like you can like get on Twitter.
Right. And be like, hey, JK.
Like that's your only mobile when it comes to like advertising yourself, getting your PR out there. Everything's like coordinated still because it's like literally dark ages.
Like that, or release a press release through your publicist in a very formal way.
Exactly. And beg the public for forgiveness. But yeah, he made that joke, but she still fucking married him.
I feel like he knew he fucked up when he made that joke too. He was walking back on it during the show. I feel like as soon as he said it, he kind of knew that like bad choice.
Like, okay, maybe that's too far. It just like the way I look at Tom Green and Drew Barrymore together, it just felt like their relationship for him was more of a PR stunt than it felt realistic.
Totally.
Like,
totally. But I mean, honestly, I kind of think that on her end too, just because not even on like a PR end, I just can't imagine like Drew Barrymore falling for Tom Green.
I mean,
they're both goofballs. I get that they're both goofballs, but like she's like,
that's like your friend who like, that's like having a friend who you're like dating this guy and like you don't quite understand why it is, and like when you ask her and you're like hoping to get like the real dish, like maybe the dick game's out of this world, and they're just like, he makes me laugh.
He's really funny.
She told people.
He seems like the kind of guy. It's like when your friend, you're like, this guy doesn't have a mattress, but he's really funny.
This guy doesn't have a bed frame, but you know, he's got a lot of character.
Yeah. I just feel like that's the 2021 equivalent, and it
yeah.
It just does like make it make sense to me. I don't think it ever will. They seemed happy. I love that for them, but
I mean, clearly not that happy.
Right.
Worse.
Should we talk about a little bit about like post-divorce, which they never, until he was on her show, on the Drew Barrymore show, they had never spoken about their divorce publicly.
Yeah, they don't talk about it publicly. They're very quiet. For people that were really into the shock and value and awe of their relationship, as soon as like the dust settled, they both kept their mouths shut.
And I feel like people didn't know how to take that, whether it was like spite and anger or just like deep respect. And I think people were really kind of torn on that for a long time, until he was on her show. They didn't talk a lot about it. It was like a very quick little blurb of like, oh, we used to be married. But they did just kind of affirm that they have all the love and respect in the world for each other.
Yeah, Tom Green had a really good statement. So like when he came out in like December of 2001, he was like, Drew is a wonderful woman. I love her very much. I wish our marriage had worked out.
Right.
So let's just like take this apart for a second and just think about like all the times like someone's been like, yeah, they were great, but it's just like we're not the right fit for each other. Like I wish it had worked out, but it doesn't. Like, how do you take that, Sophie? Like someone just says that. Like, let's say you got married and like it didn't work out. Like, how would you feel if your counterpart said that shit to you?
I don't know. I feel like that statement really lines up with what happened in both of their lives afterwards. She went on to get married 2 more times. She had kids. How many kids does she have? 2, I think she has 2.
She has 2.
He's never remarried. He's never had children.
Ball cancer.
True. My apologies to Mr. Tom Green.
That's a new conspiracy theory. What if Tom Green couldn't have kids and that was also another thing?
But yeah, I mean, it does seem to track that he, I think, was more hurt, I guess, by the demise of their relationship than she was in the long term.
I think from a public point of view, you could definitely say that, but like, who is to really say if she wasn't like crying her eyes out for a year over this dude?
Right. I mean, I'm sure he had rebounds.
I'm sure she raised his stock exponentially.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there were women who were like,
the clout that comes after being married to Drew Barrymore.
I can't imagine the amount of pussy that gets thrown at you.
But yeah, I mean, yeah,
you brought him into a whole other stratosphere. You know what I mean?
That statement of like, I wish things had worked out with Drew, that seems to track with what happened for them afterwards.
No, definitely. Oh no.
Because didn't she immediately after her rebound, I think she started dating. I don't know how seriously. I mean, we can just throw out the word. She was fucking the drummer from the Strokes. Immediately after, like, I don't know, it was after they filed for divorce or after they finalized their divorce, but
I think it was after they finalized their divorce. But like, let's be honest, we all know once we step out with someone else, chances are we were probably fucking them a bit before that.
True.
Like you have to like take the horse out, you know, bring it to pastures.
You know, they were fucking before the first photo up.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
But the Strokes drummer, I mean, I kind of love that for her. I don't know why, because he also seems like he'd be kind of like dirty and grungy, but somehow in a more appealing way than Tom Green was.
I feel like I've dated my fair share of Lagoon Monsters, so I can totally understand the bias. Like,
I think it's just that I love a drummer. And I love that she loved the drummer.
I like that she likes the boy in the band. I don't know if I'm going to go as far as to say the drummer. My brother is a drummer. So for me, I'm just like, ew.
Introduce me to your brother.
He's engaged. Well, that makes one of the Langworth kids. Anyway.
Do we know who he has dated since? Has he had high profile relationships?
I feel like he was his only high profile relationship. I'm sure on the low, he probably got some pretty good V.
Oh, 100%, but no real relationships that stuck.
No, I'm sure not.
Thing.
I'm gonna look up rebound right now.
I'm on his Wikipedia right now. There is nothing after Drew Barrymore. Does this mean that he was always in love with her, never loved anyone else? She's the only woman he'll ever love?
This is not
or he's just undateable. There are two options here.
That's so true. I feel like from his public persona and the way he is, like, I don't know, man. I really don't think, like, I'm sure Drew saw something in him. Clearly, she fucking married the guy. Like, you can say no to a proposal. Like, you are allowed to say no.
I just can't imagine him, like, I get that they had their, like, funny and it was, like, cute, but, like, can you imagine him, like, being sweet with her and, like, being a husband and, like, being romantic?
No. Right. I feel like his idea of romance is putting the toilet seat down.
I would be surprised if he did do that consistently.
Oh my God.
Honestly.
I'm dying. Okay, I'm trying to find this now.
I mean, my apologies to Tom Green. I feel like we're kind of ripping you to shreds right now.
But yeah, apologies to Tom Green in the universe. Like, sorry. Like, it's too good. Like, it's too good.
Things need to be said. Things need to be rehashed. I think we can look at these things now with a little bit more objectivity than in 2001, you know?
1,000%. On top of that, like, clear eyes, clear heart. Like... Oh, also, apparently there were tabloids of Drew Barrymore making out with girls, like random girls in bars after.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I remember that being a thing. I remember seeing photos of like those sort of photos circulating on Tumblr still in like 2014. It was a fucking moment. And we were all just so happy to see that.
So Tom Green, like, he was asked about it, I guess, in 2002. And like, they're like, how does he feel about Drew Barrymore basically like sucking face with a bunch of like gorgeous women in bars? And he goes, I don't know. I try not to read that stuff. I feel like that's such a cop out of being like, how do you think I feel?
It's true. I mean, look, I can respect his answer because it does seem like he's like, I don't want to talk about her, like, just maybe out of respect. We can give him the benefit of the doubt and just say he wanted to be respectful and not comment on her shit. But personally, I loved it.
Oh no, me too.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I think there was a part of him that probably loved it, let's be honest.
Of course. How can you not like get a little sense of pride? But I guess with guys it's different because it's like it's not like she invited him into that life. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it doesn't mean anything other than she was maybe just drunk and made out with women.
Yeah, like who hasn't done that?
Who hasn't done that?
Yeah, who hasn't done that? That's crazy.
I feel like there was probably a little part of him that was like, that's pretty fucking neat, actually, but
I feel like maybe yes, but also like there's always like this thing with guys where like if a girl like hooks up with another girl like after they date or like they're together, they're like, oh my god, did I turn her gay?
right.
Like, I hate that paradox. I think it's so stupid.
Or just the like, oh, she's gay, that's why we're not together.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. They're like, oh, I can't figure out how I fucked up this relationship.
It's not my personality. It's that she's a lesbian. Okay.
Like, no, that's not how that works. But I feel like there's definitely some sense of like male fragile masculinity when it comes to like your girl stepping out on you and then like hooking up with some girls.
100%. 100%. There's a small blow to the male ego, and honestly, I love to see it.
I like to see the blow to the male ego, but I will tell you one thing. Men, if you are watching, the surefire way to stay with a warm bed is to be nice and be okay with an experimental lifestyle, because chances are you will get to enjoy it as well. So keeping an open mind keeps a warm bed. And that's my advice.
And that's how Sam sees it.
Yikes. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. Is there more to be spilled about them?
I feel like this was a good first quick couple for our inaugural
little short and sweet.
Yeah, real short and sweet. But also, like, I want to say for a second, like, she was married at like 26, and like, I don't know if this was her first marriage.
This was her first marriage.
So for both of them, it was their first marriage. It's just really wild to me to think about like someone getting married at 26 and thinking like, yeah, this is it. Like, when I was 26, I like was going back to college, and I was like, yeah, like, okay. I don't know, like, I find it always so.
Oh, you know what? That's a total fucking lie. This was her second marriage. Her first marriage was when she was even younger. It was in 1994.
Oh, Jesus.
Was her first marriage.
Out the gate, was she like what? Like 18?
I'm not good at fast math, but I'm going to say she had to have been 18 or 19.
Well, some places in the US, you can get married at 17. Check it out, South. I think in Tennessee at 17, but someone's going to yell at me in the comments. It's fine.
So that was her second. So, wow, we're really behind. She was married twice by 26.
That would give me so much anxiety. She has such a high net worth at the time. Like, you'd have to think that prenup would be fucking ironclad.
Dude.
2 marriages. I literally at 26 had like 2 serious boyfriends. That was it. Like, barely.
I'm at 0. None serious.
Baby, you got 7 years.
I have time. I have 4 years before I have to be on my second marriage. So
seriously,
my Drew Barrymore standards, I can get married and divorced twice in 4 years.
I mean, I've broken up with a boy, but like I definitely haven't gotten divorced or married or proposed to yet. So like there's that. Like, she puts me into like the spinster category real fucking quick.
Oh, anxiety.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe she's already married.
Yeah, I really thought
developing the story. The story keeps developing, even like
breaking fucking news. Breaking news that happened in
20 years later. The story is still developing.
Like I said.
Oh no. So they filed irreconcilable differences, right? But like, Sophie, if you could pick like one thing you think that she like was like, I can't fucking deal with this, what do you think it is? Like, on either end.
I feel like there's no way that he keeps a clean household. And like, I don't mean completely like spotless, but just like, I feel like he is clutter, and he's the kind of guy who would like leave an empty beer can on the counter next to the trash can. He seems like that kind of guy.
Worse.
Or like puts his underwear on the floor next to the hamper. Like,
yeah. He feels like very absent-minded like that.
Yeah, I feel like that would be my irreconcilable difference with Tom Green. What? Why would you leave him?
I mean, such a good question. So many thoughts there. I feel like if I were to leave Tom Green, it would literally probably be because that his balls are on national television.
Kind of respect that he did that though, honestly.
I have a lot of respect for him in like raising awareness to the community and like making it a thing. I feel like when people get sick, especially in Hollywood, like it's a very cover up, like let's not talk about it sort of thing. Mercury in the 80s with AIDS.
Yeah.
No one talks about stuff, right? But like I feel like I don't know, like I don't know how I would feel like, you know what, the ball thing is a terrible example. I feel like he's like I would have probably not or gotten divorced if he like went on Jay Leno and said that I was pregnant.
I wouldn't have married him after that, but
Yeah, that would have been
here's the other thing. Maybe this is a dumb question. Maybe this is very common knowledge. Was he as wild as she was? Because I can also see that as a very valid reason for him wanting out.
I feel like
she got out of rehab, but she was not sober.
Drew Barrymore was sober at that point, I think, still at some point. Because I know she like went to rehab for like some stuff. And then she got.
But that's when she was a teenager.
But she was wild as a teenager. Like
but I don't think she was sober that long after.
No, because there's a promo photo taken from Cannes when her and Cameron Diaz were promoting.
I love them together. Yeah.
And she's holding a bottle of Dom.
Mm-hmm. So I mean I don't. Maybe he just wasn't as wild as she was, and
I think wasn't about that. He was wild when they met, but I think Drew was wild when she was younger. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? It just wasn't measuring out.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, if someone went on television and was like, yeah, I got that bitch pregnant, I'm like, I don't like that.
I don't know, though. She seemed okay with the whole SNL thing, so maybe she was in on it.
But it's like...
No, but I would, if that were me, if someone did that to me, I would not even break up with, I would ghost.
That is a ghosting technique, yeah.
I would ghost.
Very ghost territory.
Yikes. No, fuck that.
But yeah, if I were to have to pick one thing, it would definitely be calling me a baby mama on national television. That
on Jay Leno of all programs, that just seems insulting.
Crazy? Like that dude doesn't even exist anymore. He like has a show on Netflix about cars, I think now.
No, that's
No, Seinfeld has like comedians getting coffee, but like Jay Leno has a show. I don't know if it's on Netflix or
wait, people electively in this year of our Lord 2021, people still want to watch Jay Leno?
I mean, I thought all white men were canceled, but
make that make sense.
Yeah, seriously, please, somebody.
I hate that. I absolutely fucking hate that. But
yeah, I mean, basically he's like a tooly old man and he like drives all these crazy exotic cars because apparently Jay Leno has this like obnoxiously like weird eclectic collection of like antique cars, like race cars, and like every episode I think is a different car he owns, which just like further pushes our point that people gave him too much money and this is what happened.
I mean, I would just be insulted though if that was
build a charter school.
If you were gonna do the pregnancy gag, whatever, don't do it on fucking Jay Leno.
Well, back then it's like they weren't using like they didn't have like these YouTubes. Like,
right, but I mean like there were better hosts. There were better hosts.
Would you have preferred it on David Letterman?
Maybe like Craig Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson, was he even around in 2001 with his show, The Late Late?
He had a show in 2006, so I don't know how long he had been on the air at that point.
Personally, my parents watched David Letterman exclusively, so if I was going to get called out for being a baby mama, at least it could have been on Letterman.
Honestly, I think it would have been better on a morning show, like hour 3 of the Today Show.
Oh my fucking God, Kathy and Hoda.
Oh my God. Or like, yeah, like Regis and Kathy Lee. Do that shit on there.
No, that would be fun. That would really wake it up. You know, that would be the perfect companion to my dad's morning coffee.
Yeah.
Finding out
really just shake white America right to their little core.
Right in their little boots. Okay, I think we have literally stabbed Tom Green and Drew Barrymore with a knife.
I know. I feel a little bit bad for Tom Green. I'm going to be honest.
Okay, so this is the part of the show where we're going to apologize to the person that we clearly slandered and hurt. So, if you want to go first?
I'm going to let you go first because I can't think of a nice thing to say, like a nice apology.
Okay. Tom Green, I am sorry that you caught yourself on camera in such a position that made you look like this. But I do empathize with the fact that you probably thought that you were being smart and witty. So, to that, I apologize that my opinion may offend you. And I hope you are doing well and are healthy and happy and your balls are great.
That was pretty good. Tom Green, I'm sorry that you gave me the vibes that you're just a terrible person to live with. I wouldn't want you as a roommate, and I'm sorry that the vibes were bad. I'm sorry that the vibe check was bad.
He's the Applebee's is off meme.
And I'm sorry that you lost Drew Barrymore because honestly, I don't think there didn't seem to be an upswing after that. So,
nope. I mean,
hope you're doing good.
Roll on her show.
I hope you've had a great evening or a great weekend. Should we do our little wrap up game?
Yeah. So, guys, we have games. Fun fact, we're going to be doing games on the show as well.
I fucking love games.
Games are the best. So this first game is called Celebrity Rebounds. And basically, I'm going to be asking Sophie a series of questions on who she thinks this celebrity rebounded with. And then we have a quick shot and figure out who the fuck this person was fucking. It's kind of like, did my friend text her ex or did my friend text her ex? So are you ready, Sophie?
I'm ready.
Okay. Jennifer Aniston, after Brad Pitt, was linked to which star who she totally fucked? Is it Owen Wilson, Paul Rudd, or fucking Vince Vaughn?
It was fucking Vince Vaughn. And you know what's really upsetting about that? Because they did the breakup or whatever, and that's when they started dating. She likened him to like what's the heart thing?
The heart thing?
The AED thing that where it's like where they when you're dead and they like shock your heart and bring you back to life.
Not an EKG.
Whatever that thing is, she likened him to that because she was like, I thought like I was just broken. She was like, he was the thing that brought me back to life after Brad Pitt. Imagine saying that about Vince fucking Vaughn. That's my thoughts on the matter. Next question, because it upsets me to think about it too much.
Can I literally just say the fact that Vince Vaughn brought her back to life? Had he already done the Wedding Crashers? Because I feel like he had really good practice.
I think Wedding Crashers is pre-breakup. Or
pre-breakup?
No, like their movie, The Breakup.
Okay, great. So if that's the case, I bet you whatever he did to bring that bitch back to life, it was probably learned on the set of Wedding Crashers.
But I just think that's imagine being Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn is the one who got you out of your funk. That's
honestly for Vince Vaughn, I bet you that was like
good for Vince Vaughn. Fucking hell, high five, big high five to Vince Vaughn.
Congrats for that tall man. Okay, are you ready? Yeah. After Nicole Kidman broke it off with crazy person Tom Cruise, who she stupen? Was it George Clooney, Antonio Banderas, or Lenny Kravitz?
Let's see. Do we have guesses in the chat? Oh, we had guesses for Vince Vaughn. Good job, Greta Turbo. Hell yeah. And it is an AED. Thank you to our viewers because
for keeping us honest.
Smooth brains, no thoughts, empty heads.
Literally, always.
Was it Lenny Kravitz?
Yes. Right? I was shocked when I was writing this down.
I love them together. I love that. That one, I like her with him more than I like her with Keith Urban.
They've been together for an exceptionally
long time. You know what? They're really sweet together, but I would prefer Lenny Kravitz.
I feel like out of the three, I would pick Lenny Kravitz or Antonio Banderas because I feel like at that time Antonio Banderas like.
Well, and she's a fun lady. I don't know if George Clooney is fun enough for her.
I feel like George Clooney is fun in the way where like he'll have this Sunday paper and like he'll read the cartoons out loud with the fun voices.
That's his fun.
I feel like that's his vibe.
Love.
Okay, are you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. Tom Cruise was linked to this hot star after obviously the Nicole Kidman debacle, breakup, divorce. Mm-hmm. Renee Zellweger, Katie Holmes, or Penelope Cruz?
Did he start dating Katie right after Nicole?
No. That was a whole contracted marriage. Remember, those things take time to get together.
Oh, right. The Church of Scientology. They're strict about their shit. They're still emailing me, by the way. There's that.
Oh my God, that's a story for another time, but you guys literally have to hear about how this is like I want my Scientology church because it's literally fucking bonkers.
When is it my turn to marry Tom Cruise? I just want to go out. No, I'm gonna pretend I didn't say that on the internet.
Fun fact, I met Tom Cruise when I was in high school. Very short and very scary.
Was it Penelope Cruz? That's what we've got going in the chat. Was it Penelope Cruz?
Wait, what's everyone saying in the
Greta Turbo is saying Penelope Cruz.
Penelope Cruz. I feel like I'm in the wrong one, guys. I'm in the wrong chat right now. Whoops. Sucks to suck.
You're doing great.
Cruz.
Was it Cruz?
It was never confirmed. I just want to put it out there. Never confirmed. So
that's another one where it's like she's like, and his teeth are centered. His front tooth is like directly in the middle of his face, and that's never sat right with me.
As I said before, God is my witness. In high school, I worked at a movie theater, and this motherfucker did a movie premiere, like a really weird movie premiere at my movie theater, and we met him, and it was just like the most awkward thing I could think about of being like 16, working in a movie theater, and fucking meeting Tom Cruise. He was really short. He definitely had like those platform shoes on. And like when we all posed with him, everyone that was at least 5'7" or taller did like
he's little.
You know, like the prom knee. You know, like that. God, I wish I could find that somewhere.
I hope you do. He's so small.
So tiny. He's a teeny motherfucker. Okay, are you ready for the last one?
Let's do the last one.
Kate Hudson.
Okay.
Coming fresh off of a breakup, started fucking who? Kid Rock, Jared Leto, or Lance Armstrong?
I want it to be Jared Leto, but I know that it was Lance.
It was Lance Armstrong.
It was Lance, which is, I mean, honestly, at the time.
No, seemed like a great catch.
Made sense. Loved that, actually.
Another famous person with one ball. Also,
that was the pre like roid everything, right?
Yeah. But also, he was with Sheryl Crow when it was the roid rage thing.
Right, which I don't even want to talk about because Sheryl Crow deserves the world and she's an angel.
We are unworthy of all that woman's beautiful music and stylings.
For what it's worth, the three best women in Hollywood are all, first of all, they all hang out together and they're all Greek women. And I like to think that that's the reason they're friends. But Jennifer Aniston, Rita Wilson, and Sheryl Crow are all like very loud about their Greek heritage and they all hang out together and post it on their Instagram stories. And I want to be part of that club so bad.
I would love to be a part of that club, but unfortunately I never completed my Greek Orthodox classes. So I will always be barred from that. Okay.
Fun first game.
Just want to say, I really did think it could also be Jared Leto, but then I remembered Kate Hudson is of age and Jared Leto is like a need not apply in that area from what I heard in the grapevine of media. Mm-hmm. Like some pretty young.
Yeah. I think we can all just thank God that it wasn't Kid Rock.
Oh my God. No, I feel like, you know, it would be an awful mashup, Kid Rock and Jennifer Lopez. You're thinking about we're talking about it. I'm disgusted.
I don't know why you put it in my brain.
It's there now.
On that note,
thank you guys so much for tuning in for our first show. Come find us again soon. We'll be going and streaming twice a month.
Sunday after next, same time. See you here.
Same
You know what we
thing.
should do next time? We should have wine. I don't know why we didn't do that.
Well, I'm glad we got through the first show. The first show sober, even though that
Yeah.
sound like it was. But yeah, thanks guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciated it. And if anything, now you know a little bit more about Drew Barrymore and Tom Green, or at least know who he is.
Yeah, I mean, you learn something new every day. I like to think we provided some fun facts. I like to think that not everyone knew about the Fluffy or the what was it? Not Fluffy. What was the cat's name? Flossie. Not.
Flossie.
We provided some fun facts. We taught the children.
Yeah, we taught the kids a few things today. So I'm gonna say bye from my pink bedroom of dreams. Subscribe on my OnlyFans. I'm having a this week.
From me and the naked lady in my bedroom. Thank you for watching us tonight.
Thank you.